So a question I want to ask today is, who do you trust? My name is Haven. I have a background in political science, and I'm watching the world constantly evolve, constantly do new things. And when I look at all of the
I knew those are people that love this country.
Turmoil that's happening in the world, it is obvious to me that there are a lot of people who are swept up listening to the wrong kinds of information, people who are being duped, people who are being lied to, people who are having their fortunes and their livelihoods taken away from them because there's so much crap out there. So there are maybe three kind of big tips that I want to go over that can help you find good information in your life and help you make better decisions. The first one is, and this is going to be a kind of controversial statement, I believe that if you don't know how to use a computer properly, you're basically disenfranchised, and that's an enormous problem. And I don't mean when I say use a computer, can you open it and turn it on and go to a bookmarked website, because if that's all you've taught your grandparents how to do, you're a failure. What I really mean is, does your computer have access to the internet? Are you able to bookmark and go back to information that you found on it easily? Do you know how to manage files that you've downloaded to your computer? Essentially, if you could download a book, if you can figure out how to download a book off of the computer, put it somewhere in your computer and know where it is, I think you've done an okay job. The second big tip is you have to get good information. There's a saying in stats and also in music production of garbage in, garbage out. If you put bad information inside of your statistics, you're going to get bad information from your analysis. If you play a guitar line really badly, there's no amount of money that can be put on top of that thing to make it sound good. So here are some good news sources that I like. I read the New York Times, I read the Washington Post. Those are expensive. They cost money to subscribe to. So I would recommend the AP, which is free, and Reuters, which is free. And I use these four basically every day. But there are a bunch of other ones that are good. Christian Science Monitor, the BBC, The Hill, Politico, C-SPAN, NPR, you can go on. Essentially, the way that I look at news is this. If somebody at that organization can get fired for messing up, that's kind of a good first step. And I want to point out that all of these mainstream, larger entities, they are all listening to each other, they're interacting with each other, and much like people in a high school who dress poorly, they can get caught up in fads. Not every single piece of news that you hear is going to be part of some garbage fad, but occasionally it's going to happen. So I think that it's good to still look at other sources that even sometimes aren't going to be viewed totally reliably. Use them sometimes just so you have a little bit of information that challenges the orthodoxy. But then we get into this problem where if you have one news article, sometimes people can interpret that news differently from one another. And it brings me to my last point, which is to have a good perspective. And this is the one that is the most open-ended tip that I can give you. It's not something that I have a really clear solution on, but I just want to talk about some of the big things out there. I think that good science is all about predicting the future. There's not going to be any useful engineer out there who doesn't know when the bridge is going to collapse. You've got to have a doctor who's going to tell you what all the side effects are. And when it comes to social scientists, they've got a huge responsibility in letting us know what's going to happen next. And all of their past predictions should make them a pretty reliable barometer for what's going to happen next. There are big problems in science right now. There is the replication crisis, which is ongoing. Social scientists are finding out that a lot of what they thought they knew, they don't know. And as we get better stats, as we get better methodologies, as we get better ways to gather information, that problem's not going to go away. There will always be junk science, but it's going to get better. What I would advise you to do is to, if you can, study mathematics. If you're at some point in your life where you are pursuing an education, or if you've got free time, learning how a pole works is a lot easier than suffering the consequences of being duped by somebody who says they're working for you when they're not. Having a good understanding of how do you measure uncertainty, how do you arrive at a conclusion, that I think is incredibly important. At least, though, we know what the problem is. And if you know the problem, you can then take steps to start solving it. things are going to get better. I promise. Thank you.